TEKS check correction number 3. First thing we're going to do is read the question and highlight or underline any important information. We're also going to check to see if there are numbers used at the very beginning or the very end of the problem, if they're going to be important or not. So we know that James is beginning a CrossFit class that lasts for 10 weeks. He hopes to increase the amount of burpees he can do by 30% at the end of the 10 weeks. If X represents the number of burpees he can do at the beginning of the CrossFit class, which expression best represents the number of burpees he wants to be able to do at the end of the 10 weeks? So we know he wants to increase by 30% at the end of 10 weeks. We know that X is the number of burpees that he can do at the beginning. We want to find out how many he can do at the end. Now, there is this number at the beginning and the end, the 10 weeks. It also shows up in the middle. That's just going to be the span of time that we're going to use, but it does not need to be included when we do our problem. Okay? All we're worried about is how many burpees he can do from beginning to end. The fact that it was 10 weeks, that's just the span of time that he's going to be counting how many burpees he can do. It's not going to have any effect on our expression whatsoever, so really it's not an important piece. So we know that at the beginning he can do X burpees. We also know that he wants to increase that by 30%. Increase means I'm going to have to add. Now I'm going to have to make this 30% a decimal. Well, 30% as a decimal becomes 0.30. And if he wants to increase the burpees by 30%, I have to multiply that by how many burpees he can do. So to figure out how many burpees he needs to do at the very end in order for it to be an increase of 30%, I have to take the number of burpees he can do right now plus 30% times the number of burpees he can do right now to get that it's an increase. So it needs to be B. A and C include the 10 weeks, and that's not going to be important because this is what he wants to have at the end of the 10 weeks. He wants it to increase by that much. The 10 weeks is just his time frame. D does not convert your 30% into a decimal. It just uses the 30. So you have to be very careful. Make sure you convert to a decimal and decide whether or not those beginning and end numbers are really, really important to the question.